Welcome back. Our guest today is someone you may already know, but if not, you certainly will next February, March when the AFL Women's League gets underway. She's been one of the stars of the current women's competition for the St Kilda Sharks and has represented the Western Bulldogs in their exhibition games against Melbourne and Western Australia. A dangerous and skillful forward, she helped the Bulldogs over the line in that win over WA just a week after booting a phenomenal 16 goals for her club. Moana Hope, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, it's an amazing time for women's football. The game's just getting so much exposure. I was reading a piece about you the other day. You actually retired for about 3 years, saw some of the Bulldogs Melbourne exhibition game on the TV, and I gather thought, what have I done? I better get back into it. Tell us about how that happened.
Yeah, pretty much. So I've been playing ever since I was 7. So it got to around the age of 19, 20. I've pretty much done everything we could in women's football. There wasn't anywhere else you could possibly go. Represented Australia, Victoria, done the whole lot. So I had a bit of family stuff going on as well. So I thought I might take some time to myself, a couple of years, and then one of my mates dragged me along to watch the first ever Bulldogs Melbourne game, and before I took time off, all they ever had was Victoria, so I had no idea what they were talking about. And when I got there, I was so shocked, I pretty much went to the gym as soon as it finished because I wanted to get back.
So what, in a nutshell, what had improved since you'd last watched?
Oh, I think from all aspects of the game, everywhere. First of all, they're pulling on an AFL jersey, and that's exciting. And they're playing on the G, which everyone loves the G. But the skill, I felt like the skill level had just gone up immensely, and they were playing really good structured football, and I was just blown away. So I wanted to be back out there playing.
I mean, I've got a theory, Moana, as to where that improvement has come from. I'm interested in your take first, and then I'll run it past you.
I think there was a massive improvement even from last year to this year, based on purely because the VWFL or VFL and AFL have put together the academy, which ran over the off season, and that was amazing because it had 100, 150 girls all together working with some of the best coaches in the competition, working around fitness, strength and structure, and I seen even my own teammates, the knowledge of their game went from being basic to really well thought out. So it was that in itself was phenomenal.
I think that's a brilliant end game for what I believe is the harvest reaped from Auskick. Auskick came in, and it was not just for boys, it was for girls as well. Put footy in somebody's hands, whether it's a boy or a girl. Let's be honest, at Auskick, a lot of the girls are ahead of the boys. And then they sort of had nowhere to go, or maybe a couple of years of girls football. Now there's a pathway. It's only going to get better and better and better.
Well, yeah,
yes.
No, go.
Absolutely. I think, actually, when I finished playing with the boys, so once I turned 12, they said I couldn't play anymore. There was no youth girls. So I had to go straight into women's football. So now you look at it, there's, youth girls teams everywhere, and everybody, like my local team told me that they're getting a girls team next year. So it's just growing so quick, and it's exciting, I think, for women's football.
Well, it certainly is, and the amount of publicity now being generated around the AFL launch next year is quite incredible, really. I don't think many people would have anticipated that even 2 or 3 years ago. The AFL is really on the ball here, and they've put out a fair bit of promotional stuff. We've got a clip here which we'll just play, which might give people a bit of insight into the sort of people who are going to be playing in the AFL Women's League next year.
I have a burning desire to be the best I can be and to fulfill my potential. So on an individual level, that's what inspires me. You need to be so fit for the game, and I mean, that's why I loved playing from the very start. The most important thing, inspire those young girls looking up at the TV. Knowing that there is a national women's competition coming up is really exciting, and it's what gets me through every training session. Back when I was in Auskick, you couldn't really see what the highest level was, but as time goes by, it's becoming more and more clear, and can't wait for the national competition.
That was really well done. Can you just tell us quickly who those players are?
Yeah, Katie Brennan was the main one there, and she's a star forward player, plays down at Darebin Falcons, and also played with me at the Western Bulldogs. You know, massive engine. You know, she's going to be really big in the AFL in the coming years as well.
Fantastic.
There's obviously a lot to get done before the season starts, probably in February at this stage. This week I think we're going to find out the marquee players. What would that sort of role involve if you're one of those?
I can't really tell you too much because I don't know too much myself. I think, so what's happened so far is the AFL clubs have given their proposal of, you know, their 5 marquee players, top 2 being their most preferred. And I think the AFL are looking at, from what I've heard, announcing that this Thursday, so the 14th. So it's pretty exciting. I think I can't go into detail in the description because we don't even know yet. But I think we're all just like little kids waiting to hear back from you from your first interview. It's just pretty exciting.
How big will the lists be? And do you feel there's going to be enough depth in those lists for 8 teams at this stage? I
definitely think there is, absolutely. I think, you know, with all the programs they've had in place and the youth girls coming through, like I went and watched the Youth Girls Carnival a couple of months ago and I was blown away. Like they were, you know, the skill level and the way they moved the ball was phenomenal. So the skill is definitely there.
I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you are, I know that you're a bit of an inspiration to a lot of women's players. I mean, your story is amazing. You're one of 14 kids. You lost your father at a young age. Your mother has health issues and you're a full-time sister. We're just going to see some action here too, by the way. We have to show you jagging a couple of snags in last year's game, I think this is. Very impressive check side here from the boundary too.
Always check side from the boundary.
But look, as I said, it's an amazing story, and the obvious question is, how do you manage to, you work full-time as well, how do you manage to fit all this in?
Well, most of my days actually, all my days, like this morning I was up at 3:30 and so I work full-time. I work between, you know, I have guys come over for crews, so I send crews out, run a traffic management company. So I do work between, you know, 3:30 and 6, and once all the crews are out, I'll go to gym between 6 and 7:30. Most of the times I'll take my sister with me because she's obsessed with coming with me everywhere and I don't ever leave her anywhere. So we go to gym, then we come back and I make breakfast and I get her ready for school and drop her off and then come back and work for another 6 hours and then pick her up and then dinner and then go back to training again and finish off some work and then start again.
Gosh. Wow. Your mum must be incredibly proud of what you've done.
I'm incredibly proud of my mum. I think she's a saint. Everyone thinks I do an amazing job, but the things she's done and sacrificed in her life and you know, what she's done to raise a lot. She's raised a lot of kids, that woman. So, you know, she's my inspiration. So I don't think I'm doing not even a quarter of as much of what she's done for the kids in the past.
And your dad put that footy in your hand, and really tragically he's no longer part of your life, but physically, but I'm sure every time you go on the ground there's a bit of dad watching down on you and getting you in there and smashing in and getting that ball.
Always. He was a hard man to please, I'll tell you what. But he was the man to put the football in my hand. And
who did he marry for?
Essendon, through and through, massive Bomber supporter. So, you know, I always go to Cemetery when I have a big game. So when I play Bulldogs or have a grand final or something where I feel like I just want to go see him, I'll pop down to Cemetery and see him. But I know that he's always there, and I've got him tattooed all over my body. So, and that's my way of carrying him with me all the time.
The rules and regulations for the Women's League have yet to sort of be defined. Would you like to see it 16 aside, or any particular rules changed from what we've become accustomed to over the years?
I think I'm like everyone else, and just like you guys, I grew up loving football for the way it was, and I hope it stays the way it is. And I love playing football, and I don't want to play an amended side of football. But you know, I'm just happy to, you know, be able to have this opportunity to pull on an AFL jersey. I think that's the most important thing, and if they have to change things to make the game better, or you know, whatever the reason is, I'll support it, because at the end of the day, you know, my dream gets to be fulfilled.
It's interesting you mention that, because sometimes I watch women's football and I feel like in a way it's a purer form of the game. I mean, we have so much congestion at AFL men's level now, and the game's got so strategic and tactical. I watch women's footy, and I mean this in a complimentary way. It's more open. There's more one-on-one contests. I feel like I'm watching footy as I grew up with. Have you heard people say that?
That's so funny because that's how I explain it.
Yeah.
And everybody I've spoken, like I have random people stop me in the streets or in the gym and they say the same thing. Like they love it. I think it's really exciting because it is just that one-on-one, you know, balls consistently moving and anything can happen. And even when I play, I get excited, man. When I see that ball switch, I'm ready. So it's like saying it. You're watching football from back in the day, and you know, for me, I love it.
See, I've got to ask, Moana, you've already played over 200 games of footy. How much footy is there left in you for all the Doggies fans out there?
10 years. I honestly feel
that's good.
I honestly feel like I've just hit 18. You know, like I train, you know, 12 times a week. I work my ass off. So, and I'm not even at my peak yet. So, and that's exciting for me because next year I get the help of, you know, professional coaches, and I get to work internally with a lot of assistant stuff. So, you know, for me, I can't wait to see what they can do with me and what I can produce. So, you know, I would say another 10 years because I honestly feel like I am 17, 18.
Well, next February is going to be a fantastic reward, I suppose, for all the hard work. Just to finish off, I mean, I know there are some people that are still sceptical about how big this women's competition can be. What would your advice be to people who are umming and ahhing about whether they really want to give it a go? Why should they give it a go, do you think?
I would say go watch a game. Because everybody that I've spoken to, like when I spoke earlier about random people pulling me up, they said to me they had no idea, but once they watched it, they're obsessed with it. So once they watched it the first time, they couldn't stop watching it, and they wanted to know when the next game was, and they tried to look it up and couldn't find when the next game was. So, and they also said that they found it, they enjoyed that more than any other game because it was really like, you know, not old school football, but it was really fast, exciting football. So, you know, go watch a game, and, you know, I'm pretty confident that will change their mind. Yeah,
I am too. So it's a great initiative. Look, thanks for joining us. Fascinating chat. A lot of people are so excited about what's going to happen. I'm tipping we're going to be speaking to you a lot more, and you're going to become a bit of a household name in the football world over the next few months. Thanks for coming on Footyology.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Stepping out.